Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World, coming to you on a Monday night in a beautiful Chicago, where it is 70 and sunny in Chicago. Man, it is beautiful weather, and I could kill for this kind of weather year round with this kind of weather. But I know we don't get to have this weather year-round. So savor it while you can, because it's not going to last forever. And if you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, Prime Sports World is a pretty good place to hang out. I will actually drop the link to our StreamYard in those places. And so if you guys want to join us and talk some NBA action, please feel free to jump into that conversation. I've been David Hubbin. Right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. And today we are going to preview the NBA the conference finals on both sides, Eastern and Western. As the stage is set, there's only 4 teams now remain with a chance to hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy. And before we get into each individual matchup, let's just talk about the playoffs as a whole. What have you thought about the actual playoffs so far and what we've watched the action so far?
Well, I have a friend who I admire and respect. I usually quote him sometimes, shout him out from time to time on here. He says like the playoffs in general have been boring. Like there's been quite a few blowouts. Some series that we thought would be entertaining turned out to not be so entertaining. I disagree with that a little bit. Maybe he meant a couple games weren't, like maybe he meant some games weren't entertaining. Yesterday we had 2 Game 7s. These were the only series in the playoffs so far to go to 7. Like there was no 7-game series in the first round. So yeah, this was. I mean, me personally, I've been fine with it. Like
I've enjoyed it.
Issues.
You know, I've enjoyed it. I do think the star power is a little, like, for the casual NBA fan, I imagine this playoffs hasn't been probably your cup of tea. I mean, KD got bounced early. If you're a Bulls fan, the Bulls got bounced early. LeBron James not even being in the playoffs at all is probably something that, for casual NBA fans, probably hasn't been.
Yeah. For the casual fan, like there's no villain, like there's no one you want to see lose. Like you said, Brooklyn got put out in the first round. Like everybody loves to hate Brooklyn because that's just the new trend. That's the thing to do now. They just hate Brooklyn.
Well, anytime you put together you put together one of those big threes, those super teams, everybody seems to have a problem with it, even though it's been happening since like the beginning of time.
All right, and the 4 teams that's left, how do you hate on any of them? Like, how do you hate? Well,
no, I mean, Boston is a homegrown team. They drafted all those guys. I'm sure there were some trades here and there, but most of those guys are players that Boston has drafted. Same thing with Dallas. I mean, Golden State, they drafted most of those guys.
The only way I see somebody not rooting for the city of Boston, it's on some personal non-basketball related stuff. And if you're a historian, you know why the city of Boston is not liked. I'm just being real. Like, if you're a historian, you know exactly why Boston is not liked. But on the basketball aspect, yes, homegrown. They are 4-1 in Game 7 since drafting Jaylen Brown. They are 3-1 in Game 7 since drafting Jason Tatum, because those guys are a year apart. Yeah, they're a year apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall the playoffs have been fine to me. Like it's not like they hurting, it's not like every game's been a blowout. It's been entertaining. I've had no issue with it.
I've enjoyed it. I mean, Philadelphia got bounced early too. People hate Philadelphia. So like those teams that people like.
People hate Philly fans. They don't hate the 76ers. They hate Philadelphia fans.
I think there's a little bit of both in there. I think. Yeah, I think.
Is it though?
Yeah, I think Philadelphia, like based on the collection of those players, because people aren't really crazy about Joel Embiid on occasion. The James Harden is a lightning rod for dislike, for better or for worse. People just love to hate James Harden because they think he's lazy on times. And he kind of pushed his way out of 2 locations.
Did they did they lie? Like, has he not done that?
Yeah.
Has he not done that? But I still tend to think that it's Philly fans that people love to hate.
I agree with you on that. So let's get into the actual matchups. Let's start in the Eastern Conference. The number 1 seed Heat will face the number 2 seed Boston Celtics. The Heat beat the Hawks and the Sixers to get here. The Celtics took down the Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks to get here. Celtics won the season series 2-1. Kyle Lowry is still dealing with that hamstring injury. Guards, Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown versus Kyle Lowry and Max Strus. Forward, Jason Tatum, Grant Williams versus Jimmy Butler and PJ Tucker. At the center position, we got Al Horford versus Bam Adebayo. And the key reserves, Celtics rolling out Derek White, Robert Williams, and Peyton Pritchard. As the Heat have Tyler Hero, Victor Oladipo, and Duncan Robinson. They do play other people on their reserve positions, but those are the main 3. And then the coach, Emi Udoka versus Eric Spoelstra. So going through this, before we talk about what the keys for each team to advance and then our prediction, just looking at their lineups and what the teams have gone through to get through this. Where do you see the advantage here between these two teams? Obviously, the Celtics have kind of gone through a gauntlet to get here. I mean, they played a Nets team that was favored to win the title, and they played a Bucks team that was favored to win the title.
Yeah. So obviously the battle test, so to speak, goes to the favor of the Celtics, but that can be looked at as 2 ways, right? I mean, they no one expected them to sweep Brooklyn the way that they did.
No.
You go through a hard fought 7-game series against Milwaukee. So they are they might be quote unquote a little worn down, right? Miami, you kind of had an easier path to get here. You beat Miami. I mean, you beat Atlanta in 5. You beat Philly in 5.
6.
6. What's it 6?
Yeah, but I mean,
6,
Joel Embiid didn't play in the first 2 games of that series, so
came back. Yeah. My bad. And you beat. But even when he came back, he wasn't, the Joel Embiid that was the MVP favorite. Joel, like he wasn't that guy. We finally saw a Duncan Robinson showing in that series. I don't know why. I don't know if it was like a defensive thing for him in the first.
If he's not shooting the basketball well, he doesn't really have a role because he's a liability on the defensive side of the ball. And as much as they want to try to hide him, sometimes you can't.
Well, let's not act like.
Also joining us on the show is my boys from the Illinois Media School, Jose Contreras and Eric Avila. We're breaking down the Eastern Conference Finals. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? What's up,
guys?
Hey, real quick, Jose could probably be the only one to hear you. I can't simply because we're using the studio here at the radio station, Dave. And so you know how it goes, radio type thing. So we can't be sharing headphones. We can't very.
So they're only going to be here for about 5 minutes. They got their own show to run here in a couple minutes. If you want to check their input on the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals, that's on the JCA podcast. So it's going to go live at about 9:00. So they're just hanging out for us here for 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, we'll be here. We got you guys. But we caught the back end of it, and the Eastern Conference Finals has already been set. I think it's a very interesting one to say the least, at least on my part, simply because you got the young and up-and-coming Boston Celtics up against kind of like the Grizzly vets of the Miami Heat, and it's a Grizzly veteran team that's coached by Eric Spoelstra, who's been there, done that with obviously greater talent. But what he's done with this Miami Heat team, I think it's simply amazing. He's been doing a great job ever since Wade and Bosh and LeBron left. So, to me, it's going to be an interesting series. I feel this time around, experience is going to get over the young lads, and I could see the Miami Heat probably taking this in 6. Really? In 6?
In 6. I don't hate that.
That's bold.
I'm sorry. I have the Boston Celtics winning in 6. Actually, I have Boston Celtics winning in 6 games, and simply only because look, the Boston right now Celtics, they're on a hot streak. These guys. Look, they defeated Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and the Brooklyn Nets. They defeated Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the defending champions in the Milwaukee Bucks. And I don't know. I just don't see them just losing to Miami. No, don't get me wrong. Miami defensively
will give anybody fits, right?
Yeah.
But Boston, Jason Tatum, what he's doing right now is something special.
Yeah, and I think the only question mark you have in the Miami Heat is offensively. What can they give? Can they actually compete with these guys that could probably almost score at will? And Miami kind of struggles out scoring, but I think the experience overall will kind of win over this factor.
Yeah.
TJ.
Well, yeah, they did beat Milwaukee, but let's not act like Chris Middleton walked through that door.
That's true too.
Right? That's 25 points that Milwaukee's not getting, that they weren't going to get from anywhere else. Like Drew Holiday tried his own, like he tried his best.
They win that series if Chris Middleton's healthy in this series. They beat Boston.
Probably, yeah, probably.
That series went 7 without him, and they don't have anybody that gives them Chris Middleton minutes. Like you could put Chris Middleton on Jason Tatum. That would give some time off on Giannis on the defensive side of the ball. You don't have to run Giannis into the ground with that defensive matchup. You don't have to run Drew Holiday into the ground with that defensive matchup.
Because now you're asking Drew Holiday, hey, bro, not only do you got to shut down Tatum or Brown, but you got to give me 20 to 25 points on a nightly basis.
I mean, you could tell at the end of that Game 7, Giannis was spent. Like, he was literally missing bunny layups that he normally dunks.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy who – there's the Milwaukee Bucks who literally played towards like the end of July, I think it was. Maybe I'm over-exaggerating on the timeline when they won the NBA title.
I mean, didn't Giannis play in the Olympics too?
Yeah, he also played – I think so. I think you're probably right on that. So you talk about a guy who he did look spent. Don't get me wrong. He looked gassed. He looked gassed probably like by the end of Game 5. It didn't look like the same Giannis Antetokounmpo that we've seen and known and saw take over the NBA Finals last year. This dude looked gassed and gassed for sure. And you're right. Maybe Chris Middleton would have made a difference, but honestly, in the game that I saw yesterday and maybe like throughout the series, I honestly think that the Celtics probably would have came out of that one, even if Middleton was there.
I respectfully disagree with you. So let's go through each of these matchups here. Let's start with the guard positions. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown versus Kyle Lowry, Max Strus. Kyle Lowry doubtful to play in Game 1. Who do you give the edge to when it comes to the guards position? I think this one actually pretty obvious.
It has to be Smart, right?
Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown over Kyle Lowry and Marcus Strus. Yeah, I mean
What's left of Kyle Lowry?
No disrespect to Matt Strus who went to DePaul. He's not even close to as good as Jaylen Brown. So it's just, and then at the forward position, we got Jason Tatum, Grant Williams going up against Jimmy Butler and PJ Tucker. I think that's actually a pretty interesting matchup. TJ, who do you give the edge to in that matchup?
Okay, well, if this Jimmy Butler that's been playing of late, I like my chances. It actually becomes pretty even, right? Like the Jimmy Butler that turned up his savage against Philly. If he keeps this up, this is a pretty even matchup. Like Grant Williams and PJ Tucker do the same thing. They both 3-and-D dudes.
And they shoot the three. Yeah, that's really all they do. I think you got to give the edge here to the Boston Celtics, given what Grant Williams has done the last 2 games.
Okay,
and I think Jason Tatum's just a better player than Jimmy Butler, and I'm also a hater. I hate Jimmy Butler. So
right, yeah, you're a hater.
Really? That's way too much hate for right there, man.
Get the hatred out your heart.
But I'm also taking the Celtics in that match. I don't. It's closer. It's closer now than it was maybe at the beginning of the playoffs. But Jason Tatum is.
You just don't like Jimmy Butler. You literally just said it. So everything that you said after that is a caveat. Like, no, you just don't like Jimmy Butler. It's okay. I mean, it's not, but it's okay.
Gentlemen, over there at the Illinois Media School, who do you give the edge to when it comes to those 4 guys with the forward position?
Oh, Jason Tatum, between Jason Tatum and Jimmy Butler, I gotta
get and Grant Williams and PJ Tucker.
Grant Williams and who? And PJ Tucker?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll go Tucker over Williams, but I'm gonna go Tatum over Butler.
That's why I hate it.
It's pretty even, but I will take the Celtics duo. And then at the center position, the ageless wonder of Al Horford against the up-and-coming star in Bam Adebayo. I personally think this is a Bam Adebayo one. Bam Adebayo is younger. He can do more athletically, and he can basically run their offense if they need him to.
Don't slam dunk on Al Horford, man, because he gives you that look again. He's in a good job.
Let's not like. Let's just hope Al Horford has that same energy like this series, right? Like I said that about Milwaukee when they beat the Bulls. You know, Bobby Portis was hitting shots. Grayson Allen was hitting shots. Bobby Portis pointing to his ring finger like, yeah, I got a ring. I'm like, all right, I hope you got that same energy for Boston. And they didn't. So Al Horford wanted to stare down Giannis and shake his head like, okay, all right, had that same energy for Miami. Like, gotta have it. You gonna need it. You damn sure gonna need it.
Yeah, 100%. You're definitely gonna need it, especially with a Bam who is young and a spring chicken as he is, man. He's gonna get Al Horford.
Real quick before you guys gotta dust out of here, who do you got on the Western side of this? Real quick.
The Western Conference Finals. Me personally, I mean, my pick was going to be the Golden State Warriors to win it all anyway, so I'm just keeping that with. I'm keeping the same energy. Golden State.
I'm as pleasantly a surprise I was with the Dallas Mavericks. Like I love Luca Doncic. I gotta go Golden State. They have way too much firepower. Jordan Poole is going off, and you pair him up with the duo and Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and then you still have Draymond Green. How can you not pick Golden State?
But if you guys want to hear their full analysis of both matchups on the Eastern and Western side, their podcast starts right now. But continue hanging out here at Prime Sports World. We will have the JCA podcast back here at some point before the end of the week, probably. You guys all have a good night and be safe out there and have a good show. And I will see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, for real. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. So that was the JCA podcast. Their podcast goes live right now. Those are some of my coworkers at the Illinois Media School. Eric and Jose. John, I think is the other guy's name. But yeah, Prime Sports. Well, back to our conversation. TJ, center Al Horford versus Bam Adebayo. Are we making a decision here? Is Bam Adebayo the unanimous decision when it comes to this matchup?
I think it's even. They both do the same thing. Bam probably does a little more with, bringing the ball up, initiating the offense. He can take it. He can take Al Horford off the dribble. He can do things that, Brook Lopez couldn't really do. All right, like Brook Lopez is not putting the ball on the floor.
No.
Brook Lopez.
Brook Lopez can't switch 1 through 5 either.
So Giannis's inability to actually have a post game or any consistent mid-range game really allow Al Horford to brace for impact, because we already know Giannis wants to put his head down and get to the basket, which is it becomes easy to defend after a while.
He drew 20 offensive fouls. It might have been more than that, but the number was like 21 offensive fouls during the playoffs.
And it could have been more. Like it not could have. It should have been way more. Like he got 20 in 5. What's that? 12.
12 games.
12 games. He drew 21 offensive fouls. It should have been more.
Yeah. I'll take. I'm actually going to roll with it, Bam Adebayo in this matchup, but I just think he gives more versatility to his team than Al Horford does. And then looking at the reserves, we got Derek White, who was a midseason trade. Robert Williams III, who was a starter at one point, was okay to play in Game 7, but they chose not to play him. He should be a full go tomorrow night. And then Peyton Pritchard, good young player who can really shoot the basketball, going up against the reigning six-man of the year, Tyler Hero. Victor Oladipo, who's kind of refound his spark plug there for the Miami Heat. And then Duncan Robinson, who's a really good shooter, three-point player. Who do you give the edge to when it comes to the reserves? They also play Dwayne Dedman, Caleb Martin, and Gabe Vincent. Also give them decent minutes off the bench.
And that's why it's Miami, because they can go deeper. Derek White's nice. Peyton Pritchard is normally a starter. Not Peyton Pritchard. Robert Williams is normally a starter, so I'm not counting him as a reserve. And Peyton Pritchard, give me the team that can literally go 10 deep.
But we know how this works, though. As the playoff series, I know you hate this, but as the playoff series has continued to go on, the rotation
has not shortened. Eric Spoelstra has not shortened his rotation at all. All.
But he also benefited the fact that they've had big leads in a couple of these games where they were able to play their reserves a little bit more.
But even but that's my point though. Like he's like, why? Like you've been playing the same way You play it the same way 82 games, and all of a sudden, teams shorten their rotation to 8, maybe 9 guys. Like, to me, that's stupid. Like, that is dumb, right? Dance with who brought you there, right? Milwaukee wants to, Budenholzer wants to run Giannis into the ground by playing him 46 minutes a night. You see what happens.
Yeah, it's true, man. He looked so gassed at the end of that game. Like when he finally checked out, dude, he was just like, I gave everything I got. There's nothing else I can do.
And again, it's the supreme confidence that Spoelstra has in those guys that he can say, "Hey, Jimmy, I'm gonna take you off for 5 minutes. I'm gonna take you off of Caleb Martin. Give me 5 minutes. Oladipo."
But I think that's also. I also think that's more with roster construction with Miami. I mean, because they have more depth. Like when you look at taking Chris Middleton and adding somebody who is normally a reserve player and have him be in the starting lineup with Bobby Portis or Grayson Allen, whichever what happens to be from night to night basis. You're taking away a valuable piece off your depth. So maybe that had a lot to do with it, but yeah, I think the reserves. I think I got to give the edge to the Miami Heat. I mean, Tyler Hero, Victor Oladipo alone, I think are better than anybody. Miami's going to be rolling out of their bench, even though Derek White has been decent in spurts. I just think Tyler Hero, Victor Oladipo, and then to the coaching conversation, Ime Udoka versus Eric Spoelstra. This isn't really too much of a debate, in my opinion. Eric Spoelstra has been there, done that. He's got 2 rings. He's been to multiple playoffs experience. Give me Eric Spoelstra.
So he's been to 2 rings. He's been to 5 finals.
Yep.
4. Yeah, give me that guy.
I got to go with you on that too. So let's talk about the keys to victory for each of these teams. So what does Miami need to do in order to advance to the NBA Finals? What does Miami need to do?
Hit shots. Like, that's plain and simple. The defense is going to be there. The defense isn't the problem, right? Hit shots. You got to hit shots, and don't get discouraged if they're not falling. You got shooters on that team, right? Not Jimmy. Tyler Hero, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, Oladipo, Duncan Robinson. You're gonna get open shots, right? PJ Tucker. You're gonna get your shots. You gotta hit them. That's it. Like, keys to hit shots. The defense is gonna be there. I have no issue saying I don't have to worry about the Miami Heat playing defense. That's going to be there.
This is the second time in 3 years that the Miami Heat and Boston Celtics have played for a chance to go to the NBA Finals. Remember the bubble year? The Heat beat the Celtics while they're in the bubble. I think on the Miami side of this, I think they need to be. I think they can't give up anything easy. Like if they start turning the basketball over, giving loose open live ball turnovers for Miami would be a death nail to this team, because the Boston Celtics team, in my opinion, just has an athletic edge on the wings positions than over Miami. I mean, they got a lot of aging players on there. If they get into a run and gun shootout with Boston, they're going to lose. So they have to keep control of the basketball. They need to play a smart style of basketball, and they need to reduce the amount of possessions that occur in every single game.
Yeah, that was kind of an issue against the 76ers. They did turn the ball over a lot. And Boston, let's not act like their defense hasn't been good either, especially since the big turnaround. But that comes down to coaching too. Like, Spoelstra sees something he doesn't like, he's not going to let it go on.
Yeah.
And keep letting it go on. Like, he'll call that timeout, like, hey, get it together. Sorry, please.
Yeah, on the other side of this, when it comes to the Boston Celtics, their key to victory is Jason Tatum has to be the best player in this series. He can absolutely not get outplayed by Jimmy Butler in this series if Boston's going to win.
It can't be a draw.
Yeah, it can't be a draw. If Jimmy Butler is matching Jason Tatum bucket for bucket, point for point, they're having the same impact on this series, Miami's going to win. Jason Tatum has to be leaps and bounds the best player in this series if Boston's going to come out of here with a victory. Because you got to remember, they're not going to have home court advantage in this series. Like that,
So
if this goes 7,
you got to go to South Beach.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like, okay, so my Boston key to victory is it's not Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown has to show up. Tatum can't do it, but this is another thing. I know what I'm getting out of Jason Tatum, right? I know what I'm getting. I know what I'm getting out of the team's best player, right? Jaylen Brown can't let him do this by himself. Plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Marcus Smart's gonna try and be a pest, right? Like this is gonna be a battle of who can be the biggest pest. Right? Like Kyle Lowry, he's gonna battle with you for as long as he can, but at some point in time, you're gonna see a lineup with Gabe Vincent, and Gabe Vincent's gonna get some run at point, right? Just because he's younger and he's that ankle biter on defense. Right, so this is gonna be like who can be more annoying. Like, no, I'm serious.
I know.
They both play frustrating styles of defense. Like, it's one of those matchups where, like, these are two things where it's like you see them on the schedule, it's like, damn, I gotta play them tonight. Like you don't know you play them. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be physical. The refs are 100% swallowing their whistles because they are just letting it go. They are letting them get away with murder.
I kind of hope this is like one of those officiated series where the refs are not blowing the whistle unless it's blatantly obvious, which is how I feel about all playoff fouls. Like if it's not like disgustingly obvious, it shouldn't be a foul.
Like Chris Paul said against Patrick Beverly went on a rant this morning. And it was just one for the ages. I'm going to listen to it at work and just be thoroughly. But he did bring up a point, right? Like, you know, Chris Paul can elbow a guy in the mouth and he gets a foul, right? Like the guy who got elbowed got a foul called on him. How does that make sense? And this series, we've seen the physical play that both of these teams do, especially Boston. It's been thoroughly highlighted about what they did to Kevin Durant, how they made Giannis struggle. Like, Giannis was giving you 30 points, but it took him 25 shots to get to 30 points. That's a job well done. What you don't want is Giannis getting 30 points and him 11 to 16 from the field with 10 trips to the free throw line. Right? That's what you don't want. But prediction, you said it. If this goes, there is no if. I wholeheartedly believe this is going 7. I'm going Miami in 7. They go back to the finals.
I'm gonna take Boston at 7. I just think that I talked about when I made my prediction what Boston needs to do if they want to be the best team if they want to win this series. Jason Tatum needs to be the best player, leaps and bounds best player in this series. I think he will be. He has taken his game to another level, and I think he continues that rise that he's been on. Boston 7. Moving on to the Western Conference Finals, we got the 3-seed Warriors taking on the 4-seed Dallas Mavericks. The Warriors beat the Nuggets and the Grizzlies to get here. The Mavericks beat the Jazz and the Suns to get here. Mavericks led the season series 3-1. Guard matchup, we got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson versus Luca Doncic and Jalen Brunson. Forwards, Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga, who starts at them with the power forward position, versus Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith. Center, Draymond Green and Dwight Powell. Key reserves, Jordan Poole, Otto Porter Jr., Kevon Looney. Go up against Spencer Dinwiddie, Davis Bertans, and Maxi Kleber. And coach Steve Kerr versus Jason Kidd. Let's first talk about the roads that each of these teams went to get here. The Warriors, you would say, had an easier trip to get to this point right now, the Western Conference Finals. They played a Nuggets team, were missing their two best players, and they beat a Grizzlies team that didn't have John Morant for 2 of those games. And they didn't have Dylan Brooks for a game as well because he was suspended. And the Mavericks beat the Jazz.
It was like a game, and it was like
a game and a half.
It was like 2 full games because that ejection happened so early in the game, right? Like it was like 2 minutes and 52 seconds into the game, and Dylan Brooks got it shown that it was essentially 2 games that they didn't play with Dylan Brooks.
Yeah,
and
true.
John Morant missed the last 2. So you can say that like Dallas definitely had a quote unquote harder trip because they didn't have Luca for 2 of the games against Utah, and then when he came back, it's almost like he was.
I think was it 3 games against Utah?
No, it's the first 2.
No, I thought he came back in game 4. Maybe not.
Some, 2 or 3. It really.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
And like it mattered. Like it.
Yeah.
It might have been 3 holes. Like now that I think about it, because what was it? They lost game 1. They won game 2.
And they won game 3.
They won. Yeah. Then I think Luca came back for game 4. Yeah. So. And then you beat them, and then your reward for that is playing the NBA favorite, like the best team in the West. They finished. We said it. What was it? 11 games better than anybody in the East, and 8 games better than Memphis, who's the 2 seed in the West.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
I don't feel sorry for anybody who put all their eggs in the Phoenix Suns basket, because that's the glory of the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I mean, so if you decide you don't want to show up for Game 7, I mean, you just like, oh man.
The Mavericks won the season series 3-1, but we already know that's not relevant. No, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just put it on there because it's something people talk about.
I get it. People talk about it, but people also need to understand like that. Totally irrelevant. Why? Because we've seen LeBron James teams get swept in the regular season matchup between other teams. And when they face those teams,
the Bulls used to beat the Miami Heat all the time in the regular season.
All the time in the regular season.
We got beat down in the playoffs every year. It's like
because you're able to dissect. All right, this is what they want to do, and this is what we have to make them do. So if you're Golden State, obviously the question is, who guards Luca Doncic? You're not throwing stuff on him. You're not putting Clay on him because he's not what he used to be defensively, at least not yet. And you're not putting Draymond on him because I think he's too valuable of an anchor for him to foul out.
I think it's going to have to be Andrew Wiggins. Like, Andrew Wiggins is going to have to take that assignment. He's going to take it, and Jonathan Kuminga is going to have to take a lot of that responsibility too. I don't know what you do defensively if you're the Golden State Warriors. I think you're just hoping that you can outscore this Dallas team, because look at Steph Curry. I guess you could put him on Reggie Bullock or Dorian Finney-Smith. You put Klay Thompson on Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, I expect Dwight Powell to play a lot more this series than he did the last one, because it just not that it really mattered, but which is also why that Phoenix Suns series is just so disappointing, because DeAndre Ayton should have been way better than what he was. I just don't know why they didn't give him the ball.
I don't know. I don't know. So let's break down each level of this. Let's start at the guard position. So this actually is pretty interesting. We got Steph Curry and Klay Thompson going up against Luca and Jalen Brunson, arguably the 2 best players on both of these 2 teams. Who do you give the edge to?
Well, because of what they've accomplished and the chemistry that they have, it has to be Curry and it has to be the Splash Brothers, right? They have a name.
Has to be.
People.
Let me ask you something. Is Luca the best player in this series? Yes or no?
I think so.
I think so too. I think so too.
I get it. Steph Curry's a 2-time MVP. One time, one of those MVPs was unanimous. Right? Steph's a bad dude, but Luca is drawing comparisons to Magic.
Yeah, Larry Bird,
right? like Shannon Sharp calls him Baby Bird. Now, if you're Steph Curry, that's fine, because 10 years from now, they're going to be comparing the up-and-comers to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Trae Young's already doing that. Trae Young's already being compared to Steph Curry.
So if I'm Steph Curry, I'm like, hey, I'm one of one. Right? I'm in a class of my own. Right? This 3-point record going to be mine until somebody hits as many threes as I do.
But yeah, I do think Luca is the best player. I actually think this advantage actually goes to the Dallas side of this. With Luca Doncic and Jalen Brunson have been awesome in this playoff series. Klay Thompson's been a little bit. I wouldn't say he was great in Game 6, right? He was a phenomenal in Game 6. He had 30 points in that closeout game. But the rest of the series, he was very mediocre.
that's why that's my only quote unquote issue with him. It's like, bro, like play game six, like play like how you play in game six every other game. Right? Why can't you do that? Why do you
every night?
like what is it about game six that's just like I'm gonna be the best version of me I can be?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's how he basically got rid of Oklahoma City, like with that game 6.
Like I'm gonna be the best version of me I can be. But if I was to say this match, the guard matchup was actually even, you can't crucify me for that because
I hate you. I mean,
well, no, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying like folks in general. Right? Dallas ain't get here by accident.
no, I'm going to take Dallas, though, in this matchup when it comes to the guards. I just think Luca has elevated his game to a level where it's possible to ignore. And Jalen Brunson's probably, when he comes to these 4 guys, he's probably the 3rd best player in this group, outside of that one game 6 by Klay Thompson. But Jalen Brunson's been awesome basically this entire playoff series. Those 3 games that Luca missed, he was averaging nearly 30 points a game. Basically carried him through that Utah series. Onto the forwards, we got Andrew Wiggins and rookie Jonathan Kuminga going up against Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith. Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith are both 3-and-D wings. When they're hitting their shots, it looks great. When they're not hitting their shots, it looks horrible. Andrew Wiggins has become one of the steadiest players on the Golden State Warriors. Like, you need a guy who's a good defender, he can hit buckets, can play good, play hustle and play hard. This one's easy for me. I'm going to go Golden State with the forwards.
I actually believe it's a wash. Honestly, Kuminga's not going to play that many. Like, if the pattern continues, Kuminga's not going to play that many minutes. He didn't play that many minutes against Memphis.
No, but he
right?
just starts for them. That's why I have him there.
No, and that's why. Like we're going to see that death lineup fairly quickly. With this series, in my opinion,
I agree with you.
Andrew Wiggins, he's just a consistent guy. Like they were trying to compare the new death lineup versus the original one with Steph, Clay,
Iguodala, Draymond.
And, Draymond. So
who was the 5th guy in that? Was it Sean Livingston as the 5th guy? Or was it?
Well, I think that like depends on the year.
or was it the Brazilian Blur?
No, it wasn't Barbarossa. Was it Barbarossa? No, it wasn't Barbarossa.
Are you sure?
Wait, I can find it. Let me find it real quick. But to me, I think it's a watch because it's the same thing, right? If Andrew Wiggins isn't contributing offensively, he can play defense. Same thing with Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith.
Harrison Barnes.
Oh, that's who it was. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Harrison Barnes. And then he got replaced with Kevin Durant, which
Yeah, that's a severe upgrade. Like that's just.
No disrespect to Harrison Barnes.
Why wouldn't I do that? Come on, right? But again, if Reggie Bullock isn't hitting his shots, he can play defense. He was picking up Booker and Chris Paul 94 feet the whole time, the whole series. Same thing with Dorian Finney-Smith. Maxi Kleber and the crew, you got to hit the shots. That's it.
Yeah.
So, for me, the 4 is a wash. For me.
I will reluctantly take the Golden State Warriors, but I do agree with you that I think it's closer because Jonathan Kuminga's not going to play a lot of minutes, and he's not really even relevant to this conversation. The center, obviously, Draymond Green versus Dwight Powell. No disrespect to Dwight Powell, but Draymond Green's a future Hall of Famer.
Right.
So, key reserves, Jordan Poole, Otto Porter Jr., and Kevon Looney, who did his best Dennis Rodman impersonation in Game 6 against the Memphis Grizzlies, going up against Spencer Dinwiddie, Davis Bertans, and Maxi Kleber. This is kind of a wash, too, in my opinion, because I think Davis Bertans and Maxi Kleber are better than Otto Porter and Kevon Looney. I think Spencer Dinwiddie and Jordan Poole, that's closer than it should be. I actually think the reserves are actually pretty close when it comes to their key reserves.
Yeah, it's like Jordan Poole is going to play starter minutes. Same thing with Spencer Dinwiddie. Like, those two dudes are going to play starter. Like, they're going to play starter minutes pretty quick. We're going to see a lineup. We're going to see their own, like the Mavericks' own version of a death lineup with Draymond, with Luca, Brunson,
Dinwiddie,
Dinwiddie, or they could go Luca, Dinwiddie at the 2, Bullock at the 3, Finney-Smith at the 4, and Bertans or Kleber at the 5 to try and draw Draymond away from the
paint.
away from the paint, so he's not down there just grabbing rebounds. Yeah,
I think this is pretty close. I'm gonna take Dallas because I just think that they have better bench depth. I just look at they also have Frank Ntilikina that I didn't put in this list is going to play some serious minutes. Josh Green,
defensively, yes, yeah. Defensively, yeah. So I think it's Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then moving on to coaching, we got Steve Kerr versus Jason Kidd. One's already a Hall of Fame head coach. If he were to retire today, he'd be in the Hall of Fame. Versus Jason Kidd, who's still looking for his first title. But Jason Kidd, as a coach, obviously. Jason Kidd has done a magnificent job with this Dallas team. The adjustments that he's made from series to series is really it's probably his best coaching job ever.
Yeah, I was on Facebook earlier saying he didn't get enough. He never got the credit he was due with developing Giannis the way that he did. And some guy was like, the culture he built was trash. I'm like, I ain't say shit about the culture. I was literally talking about the personal development that he made Giannis.
Well, you remember how upset Giannis was when they fired him in the first place.
Exactly, right? You don't get upset over that if the culture was trash. And you're a fan saying the culture was trash. Well, how would you know that? Was the team were you in the locker room, or were you just going off of what they said in the media? Because let's not act like Jason Kidd is a beloved figure.
No, he's not.
The media.
No, he's not.
Then he goes to did he go Milwaukee first, then Brooklyn, or was it Brooklyn then Milwaukee?
No, it was Milwaukee then Brooklyn.
Okay, then he goes to Brooklyn. That didn't go how it should. Then he spent years as an assistant. He was literally pegged to be the next head coach of the Lakers. The Lakers kind of moved on from him because
I was wrong actually. Brooklyn then Milwaukee.
It was Brooklyn then Milwaukee. Okay.
Yeah, we spent 2 seasons at the head coach of Brooklyn when he was doing that water stuff, and then he.
That was fun. That was actually clever. Right? I'm out of timeout, but I need to draw this play. I need to come up with a play. So I'm gonna tell my player, hit me so we can
spill this water everywhere so
I can draw this play. That was actually brilliant. The fact that he got in trouble for that is trash.
No, dude, please.
What? It's not like they couldn't clean the water. It's just water, bro.
No, but it's. Never mind. I don't. We're not gonna
get a towel, mop it up. Let's ride. Yeah.
It's not a good taste of the I know it's just never mind. Just move on. But yeah, Steve Kerr has the edge here.
Yeah, the fact that Jason Kidd had to go to Dallas to get back into the coaching ranks because I guess it made Frank Vogel more than a little uncomfortable that his heir apparent was apparently, sitting next to him.
Well, I mean, he was the highest paid assistant coach in the league at the time, and I don't think the salary between Frank Vogel and Jason Kidd was all that different. So easily they could have just fired him and been like, yeah, whatever. So, but Steve Kerr has the edge here.
Yeah, but I just want to give a quick shout out to Steve Kerr because this proves that he can actually coach. Right? We saw Mike Brown had these guys for the remainder of that series. Game 4 was a close game. You got blasted by 55 in game 5, and then game 6 you needed Klay Thompson heroics to seal the deal. That was not a good showing for Mike Brown, who had the same roster that Steve Kerr had. That's not a good showing, right? And Stephen A. Smith,
especially since he's going to be taking that Sacramento job in
and Stephen A. Smith, Stephen A. Smith literally said that he heard inside, he had his insiders and his sources tell him that if Sacramento was still looking for a coach, they would have pulled his name out because of the coaching showing that he put on, bro. He would have lost the job before he even got it had they still been in the hiring process. That's crazy to me.
let's go into the keys for each team. So let's start with the Golden State Warriors. What's the keys for them if they're going to if they're going to move on to the NBA Finals?
Stop 77.
I mean, that's easier said than done.
I get that's easier said than done. But stop. Yeah, you stop Luca, you win. Right?
I think it's a little more simple than that. I think they need to out-rebound the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, they really only have two dominant rebounding players in Kevon Looney and Draymond Green. Everybody else is not an elite level rebounder. But if you give up second chance opportunities to a team that's so opportunistic as this Dallas Mavericks team, you're going to get pummeled. Dallas is going to pummel you. So out rebound them, stick to your play, stick to your playbook, and don't panic if Dallas steals game one, which they potentially could.
They could.
But yeah, so stop 77 that's a big one, which is going to be easier said than done.
Stop 77.
On the other side of this, the keys to victory for the Dallas Mavericks.
Remember, you have house money. You are playing with house money. They are already picking the Warriors to go to the finals. They picked the Warriors to go to the finals before the matchup was even official. No one's giving Dallas a chance to win this at all. Our own CEO, Israel Rivera, said Warriors in 5. They think this is going to be a cakewalk.
Well, we see what happens with the Golden State Warriors. When they think they got a cakewalk a game, they lose by 45 points, and they're down by 55 at one point during a game. I actually think that game was good for this Golden State Warriors team because they'll be like, yeah, we shouldn't overlook our opponents anymore because we're gonna get blasted. And then they probably saw what happened to the Phoenix Suns where they're losing by 46 points at one point during that game. Like if we don't take Dallas serious, they're gonna cut us out of our own building. Dallas for me, it's play at your own pace. This Dallas team plays at a very methodical, very slow pace. Yeah, don't allow the Golden State Warriors to rush your offense. Get into your stuff the way you normally would get into your stuff. Just because you're playing in the finals doesn't mean you should play a different style of basketball. You have to continue doing what you got here with. And I agree with you. The house money thing is huge. Nobody thought Dallas was going to beat Utah. Nobody thought Dallas was going to beat the Phoenix. So nobody thinks that you belong here. And so this is an opportunity for you to be like, yeah, we have the best player in this series, and we're going to show you what's up.
Yeah.
And then finally, prediction. Who do you got winning the series?
Oh, man. You go first.
I'm going to take the Dallas Mavericks in 7. Luca Doncic is the best player in this series, and usually the team with the best player usually emerges out of these series. Luca is on another level right now. Like the dude is just playing out of his freaking mind. Also, Dallas has had the most efficient offense in the entire playoffs so far. Like their offense has been more efficient than Golden State. Their offense has been more efficient than the Boston Celtics. Dallas has been the most efficient offense. And when you think about what they've done since the All-Star break or since the turn of the 2022 year, they have the third most wins of any team in the league, including this Golden State Warriors team. Give me Dallas in 7.
I don't hate it. I mean, like, the fact, again, CEO said that, there's no one picking Dallas. Like, actually, quite a few people are picking Dallas to win this. And you cannot hate that. You cannot act like they are, without, like, in their wildest dreams. Like, what? You picking the Mavericks? Why? What you mean? Why? Again, they didn't get here by accident.
No. Right? I mean, Luca Doncic has been.
Luca Doncic is putting up numbers that only one dude has ever put up in the playoffs. And his name starts with an M, starts with a J. His first name starts with an M, last name starts with a J. Has a logo. That guy.
Yeah.
He's got his own shoe. He's got that shoe.
Yeah, he's got that one. He's got that one shoe. Went to that one school in that one state. Mavericks in 7. Don't hate it. I'm gonna go. At the end of the day, I don't think the consistency of Dinwiddie, Bertans, and Cleveland. I don't think the shooting is going to be there on a consistent basis. I'm going to go Warriors in 6, but I don't hate your Mavericks in 7 prediction. I also wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
I mean, I'm not betting against Luca right now. Like I just can't. Like he literally has been playing out of his freaking mind, and you know I'm not going against him. I'm just gonna.
Well, so like game one should never really be a determining factor on how a series should go. Like you should not be like, oh, because this team won game 1, they're gonna win the whole thing. Right? This is where coaching comes into play. So let's say Dallas steals game 1, right? Steve Kerr, it's on you to make the necessary adjustments so they don't steal game 2.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see what happens. But I'm rolling with the Dallas Mavericks. I'm not getting against Luca at this point. I just can't. But yeah, this conference final series should be a lot of fun. These are two teams that, like, at least 2 of these teams I didn't really expect to still be here.
Your finals prediction is Dallas,
Boston,
and Dallas, Boston.
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
Yeah.
Don't hate that.
And then you got Miami, Golden State.
Yeah, I got Miami, Golden State.
I don't think that. I mean, no matter however this shakes out, it's going to be a very interesting NBA Finals. Like I think whatever matchup we end up getting should be, because we get Miami going up against either of these 2 teams out west. It's just the difference of the difference of styles, the play clash. That you love to see that kind of stuff in the NBA Finals. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. Let us know your predictions, what you guys think might happen in the NBA, the conference finals here in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter and Twitch. We'd love to hear it. I've been David Huppin. Right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. And TJ, what we doing here at the prom, my friend?
We bring the heat, and today was such a lovely day. I don't want more heat.
Dude, it was. I wish it would stay like this all year round, for real.
Because in Illinois, with heat comes humidity, and the humidity is what makes it so unbearable.
Yeah. So we'll be back here tomorrow. We're gonna be breaking down some more NBA stuff. We're gonna be talking about the lottery. If you're not aware, the lottery goes down before Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals tomorrow between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. So some team is gonna have their luck figured out tomorrow. How the things are gonna play out. So yeah, we'll be back here tomorrow. You guys all have a good rest of your day and take it easy, man. Have a good day at work, brother.
See you, man.
Peace out, man.